Oh, I see. Then I have control over my thoughts. Is the voice talking in my head, not me? But I do, and I have the ability to control it. Wow. Well, that's the greatest mercy in the world. So the elemental in itself is like the knife, that the knife in itself is not good or bad. There's no good or bad in energetics. It is man who fills it with good or bad qualities. Or controlling my thoughts, focusing my thought powers. I told my mom, listen, if you use thought, please use it for me. Use it for yourself. Think about what you want to achieve, not that, because humanity now always thinks about what it wants to avoid.
What is reality? The path of life, first formalized and formulated by Dr. Gabriel through the practices and experiences of which man reaches the state of grace. The realization, the reality, referred to by many older spiritual traditions. The system of reality transcends the scientific, philosophical, religious, or spiritual systems we know today by acknowledging and embracing them all. It is based on the Reality Codex, first published in Hungary in 2023, which is a simple, practical guide to the process of realization, where man is able to see himself, the external world, and the purpose of life on earth in reality. According to the followers of reality, it can give real answers to the most difficult questions of life on earth, such as who are we, where are we going, what is our purpose, is there a God? And if so, where? Do elementals exist? If so, what are they and how do they work?
Thank you very, very much. Interesting things are happening in the world and have happened in the world over the last few thousand years. The great religions use these qualities as hell, which I said. Use the quality of being a devil. Use the quality of demon. Remember? How do we feel when I say demon? Our tummies are shrinking a bit, aren't they? I say, but... And my daughter and I were watching Lord of the Rings yesterday, and this big demon came on. So there is this archetype, the demon. Then this elemental appears. The elemental has also been variously seen and named in spiritual and religious traditions. Here's what it looks like in reality. What I mentioned, hell, is also a state of being in constant conflict with myself, with the world, with the present, and therefore I'm causing suffering to myself and to others all the time. And suffering creates energy deficiency, and from energy deficiency comes disease. And then it goes on until I suffer more and more, and until I wake up and realize that it's all just teaching. And I start coming back to the present, and I bring myself to heaven. So it should be made clear that these are not places but states within us. I got a criticism that this is very nice and all, but Jesus is the greatest teacher and master, and I do agree. But also Buddha is a very great teacher and master. Lao Tzu is a great teacher and master. Socrates is a great teacher and master. And I could go on, But what I'm putting in front of you, and this is the way of reality. This is the way of Jesus. This is the way of Buddha. They just called it that, and they called it whatever. What about this devil and demon? Well, the devil. Or what does it mean to be haunted? In the wonderful Hungarian language, the haunting means to understand a little bit of reality, to judge, to understand, not to understand, to understand a little bit. This theory applies to the ego. The devil in Hungarian means guarding the carcass. It guards the carcass, that is, it guards the past. He won't let you. When I let go, the devil disappears. The devil is also, by the way, the human ego. The demon. And what is this demon? Is there such a thing as an external demon? And if so, where? The demon is man-made energy, the energy of the astral planet. We usually put together huge ancient fears, as the codex contains. By the way, any questions you have, or feel free to ask. The codex contains that this demon is trying to reach the threshold of the astral plane. The demon is the sum total of our ancient fears that have been crumpled up into an energy, and we have to face it one day and realize that we created it, and we have to dismantle it. In English, we have to face our fears. Maria Sepes called it, by the way, that it should be called by its name. What am I really afraid of? From death, from illness. I call it by its name, and I can see it from the outside, whether it's anxiety or worry. I can observe it. It doesn't affect me anymore when I separate from it and stop identifying with it. So, what is the elementary? What is in this word elemental, mental, and battery? The elemental are the beings of the mental plane, are thought beings. And anyway, up on the mental plane, we'll face these, our elemental creative forces, our thought forces. We train them and we build our future from the elementals that we've maintained for a long time. Elementary is thought energy, and the more I hold it up, the more I put energy into it, the more creative power I use. It's just that now we're suffering with negative thoughts, fears, programs. I've written it down in the codex and these little mantras about the suffering of life. Death is bad, better to be afraid than scared, etc. etc. So these are our infused thought energies that humanity has created and we create. So if we can keep the emptiness and start observing our mind, start observing our thoughts first and in meditation master them, then I can do that. I can either not think about anything. So to speak, I'm in emptiness, I'm at peace. So I'm thinking, so I am, it's come to this. But actually I say to myself, I'm not thinking, so I'm fine. So when I find that I can keep the thoughtless silence, the present moment, or by controlling my thoughts, I focus my thought powers on what I told my mom. Listen, if you use thought, please use it for me. Use it for yourself. And think about what you want to achieve, not that, because humanity now always thinks about what it wants to avoid. And that's why we keep creating hell and doing it over and over and over again. This is the elemental. So the elementary has no positive or negative side. The elementary is a thought force. All I said was that at a moment most of humanity is thinking about what it wants to avoid. So the fact is that when I go out on the street now, or I go to the bakery, what I hear most is people complaining. Now complaining, far from solving my predicament, keeps adding fuel to the fire. I complain. It's a habit of the mind and ego. They use elementals to go deeper, so they contaminate each other. They practically contaminate each other with these thought forces. They say it, they scold it, so they use the force. The thought force, I say, in a negative way, because they're not aware of how to use it. Obviously, an awakened consciousness, a person who is living in reality, that's what I was saying, takes control of your thoughts, of his mind, and from then on, he uses the elemental for whatever he wants. For wisdom, for wealth, for whatever he needs in his life. It was called the law of attraction, creation, etc. So the elemental in itself is like the knife, that the knife in itself is not good or bad. There is no good or bad in energetics. It is man who fills it with good or bad qualities. So the elemental is not good or bad, it is a force. It depends on whether the person who is using it consciously or unconsciously. If you use it unconsciously, it gets dirty, it causes trouble, it gossips, it makes karma, it spins. It's called the ladder wheel, or Samsung's wheel. It keeps itself in this thicket, who is a little bit here now this, if we could understand that way. Then how is it? Oh, I see. So I have control over my thoughts. The voice in my head that speaks is not me. It is me. And I have the ability to control it. Wow. Well, that's the greatest mercy in the world. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita that one who has mastered his mind in all its manifestations has attained the highest degree of wisdom. It is the donkey. In other words, if I use my words, my thoughts, my actions for the benefit of humanity and myself, which are one and the same, then I am conscious of how I use the elemental. A large part of humanity is still oblivious to matter, to complaining, to illness. The other day in the warm water, I heard two old ladies competing to see who had the bigger tumor. We've come to this, and they don't know in the meantime that they're making it even bigger, and they're creating it, they're watching it, they're increasing it, and they're even asking that the ego has many faces, but they're not conscious of it. So it's not a mistake or not a bad thing, but of course for all of us who have come this far, that this is our ability, this is our potential, this is our reality, this is my awakening. That I am not separate from you. I am not separate from God. I am not separate. I am one with everything. And if I am one with everything, then of course I use my powers, my words, my thoughts, my feelings for the benefit of humanity. Obviously the elemental is therefore, if someone understands this, from then on I will release an elemental or simply not create an elemental. So if I'm content and grateful, and if I'm in the present, I don't let elementals out. If I'm at an age, 22, 3, 4 years old, I want to create money, housing. It's perfectly normal to use the battery consciously. That's it. To use it. Thank you very much.